out here. They gave it back to the Azusa PD. Helicopter above, that's going to be the Sheriff's Department. They're assisting right now, working with the Azusa PD, trying to get these get them help. So they got somebody overhead to keep an eye on this pursuit. I get an idea that it's going to be Arrow Highway. He's definitely moving westbound. He's making his way over towards Irwindale Avenue. Not quite there yet. But again, Azusa PD in pursuit this evening, and you can see a number of those officers. This vehicle moving extremely fast. The original one, I got to work on that, but I do know that this vehicle actually was pulled over at one time. It was a felony stop in progress, but then this guy decided that he was going to run, and that's what happened. Looks like he's making a turn to the north right now, and if that isn't Irwindale, it's going to be a major right near that area. That's going to put us definitely in the Azusa area, but this vehicle moving again into a residential neighborhood right now. You can see the number of officers. That vehicle moving very quickly. Hopefully he'll slow down a little bit once he gets in this residential neighborhood.
All right, now Stu, you keep saying he, so I guess we have confirmed that it is a man behind the wheel. Do we know if he has a passenger?
Pat, you know what, I should take that back and just say suspect. I don't have any kind of confirmation of that at all. And actually, sometimes they are very clear about how many occupants are inside that vehicle. That might be the reason why there's so many officers from Azusa PD following. If there's more than one person inside, they want to have that additional help in case that person runs. This might, something that we just saw right there, him driving by an officer with their lights and sirens on in that neighborhood. This may indicate that they know where this vehicle belongs or lives, and they might be in that neighborhood, and that's the reason why we saw that vehicle with the lights on right there. Right now, I can tell you we're working our way northbound on Azusa, making his way back on into another residential neighborhood, but you can see a number of officers right behind him. That vehicle slowing down just a little bit as he's making his way in these residential areas. Sometimes we see these guys door pop open and they jump out. It seems like he's familiar, but again, we just never really know until we see it.
You're absolutely right about that, Stu, and it almost seems like, well, kind of narrow streets, but those are the kinds of streets you would find in a residential area like this, and he seems to keeps making these turns almost as if he knows where he's going. At one point, as you said, it looked like the vehicle was slowing down. Now it seems to have picked up some speed.
Yeah, he slows down, he speeds up, and I would kind of get that same vibe, Pat, that he kind of knows where he's going in here. There's a couple of dead-end streets. He hasn't taken any of those, so it gives you that idea that he knows where he's going. Kind of got turned around right now. Sometimes we have the ability to listen in, and we get those streets get shouted out as the officers are making their way down there. Tonight, though, we'll have a little trouble with that, but I can tell you right now, he's crossing over the 210. If he gets back on the freeway, though, California Highway Patrol is going to jump right back into this, and they might have a little bit of a different tactic. Obviously not at high speeds on the freeway, but they were trying to get some units behind him that would be able to do that pit maneuver. We read that sign. It looks like this is going to be Culver. We're northbound, and we're going to be north of the 210 right now, heading towards Foothill Boulevard.
Okay, I was going to ask you, Stu, if you have noticed any erratic driving on the part of this driver. From what we've been on the air, what I've seen, he seems to be obeying the traffic signals, or unless he's just been lucky and run up on green lights.
He's been a little bit lucky. We were watching from a distance, and I could tell you that he was moving very, very quickly, and he was running, or the suspect was running many lights. I could clearly see the red lights, and this vehicle was just going right through it. Right now, though, I got a feeling we are on Foothill Boulevard. We're going to move Sky 2 around a little bit of a pirouette. I hope nobody gets sick on this one. And we're going to keep an eye on it. But Azusa PD is staying with it. They're not giving it up to any of these other smaller cities in the nearby area. Definitely on Foothill Boulevard. You can see where it's going to be turning right there. We'll get these street names here for you in just a second.
Okay, that is a heck of a shot there, Stu. We could see everything from that distance, high above in Sky 2. You know, I want to ask you a question. You said that the local PD, the Azusa PD, are staying on this as opposed to asking for assistance in smaller cities or what have you that this vehicle has been traveling through. Does that, could that possibly mean they know who this is behind the wheel? Or they possibly know where they're going?
I'm not sure what their policies are, but it did appear that when we saw that one vehicle, it just happened to be in that neighborhood. That was a little unusual. Like I said, sometimes we get a little bit of that inside information. In this case, this evening, we're not getting any of that information at all. You can see that helicopter right there. That's going to be actually one of the smaller. That's going to be I think that's going to be El Monte's helicopter that we just saw right there. Residential neighborhood again, making another turn to the south. I was just reading those signs. So he has the ability to get back onto the freeway, but he's staying in these neighborhoods. So you just got to wonder if he's just looking for that perfect spot to stop the vehicle where he thinks he can get out, run, and hide. But right now the pursuit continues. Officers from Azusa PD right behind him, staying behind him, and this vehicle continuing to elude. Luckily hasn't made contact with any other cars, but now all of a sudden really slowing down. You got to wonder what's going on right now. Maybe he's running out of gas, or maybe he's just choosing where he or she is going to want to go. Yeah,
it's really interesting when this kind of thing happens too, because you would think that they could be running out of gas, maybe trying to make a run for it, or know that, all right, it's time for me to give up now because I don't have anywhere else to go. But something should be happening very shortly.
Yeah, it definitely looks like the car is giving up before the driver right there, just holding on to those last seconds of a moving vehicle. The officers, though, they've got their doors open and they're ready to pounce, just waiting for that vehicle to come to a stop. But then always is going to be the question, is this person going to get out, continue to stay inside, follow those orders? Right now, though, Azusa PD, guys, that vehicle stopped, or that vehicle has stopped, and Azusa PD behind it, probably the correct verbiage right there. Some movement inside the car. These officers, they got their guns out. They're ready to do their thing, but it definitely looks like now all of a sudden that we have a bunch of willing participants, hands popping out both sides of the cars right now, hands in the air. So it looks like this may be coming to an end peacefully here in just a moment.
And at least we possibly know, Stu, from, I noticed that too, the passenger side of this vehicle, there appears to be looks like someone's on the passenger side and opened the door as well. So at least we probably have more than one person in the car.
That might be one of the reasons with the high number of officers behind them. Like I said, when they stopped, they just wanted to make sure they had enough officers to chase down or set up a perimeter, especially if they have two people running in different directions. Right now, though, I'm sure orders are being given on what they should do. The hand using the outside doorknob, that's usually what they say, especially if this person possibly armed and dangerous.
Door's opening.
So they want to make sure they see those hands, and the door is definitely opening.
Yeah, there we go. Stu, it's almost like they pushed the door open because they're keeping both of their arms up. So he kicked the door open to make sure the officer saw both of his arms.
I'm sure that suspect, seeing the number of weapons trained on him right now, and I'm sure he's going to do everything that those officers are telling him to, and keeping your hands where they can see him. That seems to be the big item. It was interesting right there. It looked like they were telling him maybe it looked like he's reaching for that other door. This is something a little different. Azusa PD maybe telling him to open up that other door. Possibly there might be some suspects in the back, or they just want to make sure because of the tinted windows. Right now, though, the command's probably being given. They're going to take him into custody, then the passenger that we see with the hands out. But is there somebody in the back seat? That one, they're going to have to, we'll wait and see, just along with Azusa PD.
Okay, well, we're not going to call this a code 4 yet, right? Because that other passenger is not out of the vehicle yet.
It's not over till it's over, and everybody has their cuffs. Everybody has cuffs on, and they're in custody. Sometimes the passengers, they might actually just let them go. They'll probably take them to the police station if there's no reason to hold them. The driver is the one that they usually is going to be the suspect that probably will have some charges pressed against him. Right now, those cuffs are going on, but they still have to get that other passenger, the one we see, out, and then they have to make sure there's nobody in that back seat.
Okay, and as far as we know, so far, Stu, they're still saying that the want was reckless driving. Haven't heard anything different, and it appears that the Azusa Police Department is very, very busy, and they're not necessarily taking calls right now to give us any further information.
I'm sure it almost appears that they have almost all the Azusa PD officers out here at the end of this chase. There's a number of officers in the area behind the vehicle and then also around the corners, just getting a little bit wider there. You can just count the numbers. Even the undercovers were involved in this as well. Right now, though, the other passenger still has their hands out. The officers still have their weapons trained. And again, once that one driver is in the custody right now, they're going to tell that person to do almost the same thing. Probably open the door from the outside and make sure their hands are where they can see him the entire time. I wonder if they're going to try to open that the rear passenger doors. We'll wait and see. I'm going to see if we can move Sky 2 over just a little bit to maybe get a better shot of the passenger getting out.
Okay, Stu, is that, I can't tell from here, is that a 4-door or a 2-door?
It is a compact 4-door vehicle. Up the car. Oh, that was a little unusual.
Very. That door is swinging.
It looks as if the, yeah, and I'm seeing some movement in there. I'm okay. That was a little strange. It looks as if though she can't get out. The passenger can't get out of the passenger side and is climbing through the car. Might have bumped it back into gear there. And now we're seeing the passenger getting out the driver's side, no shoes on, and now making her way out of the vehicle, following the same directions to back up, and then they'll take her into custody as well.
All right, and from our vantage point here, we are assuming that those are the only 2 people in this car.
Well, they keep trying that rear door for some reason, and it's not opening. And you'd think that if there was somebody in the back seat, they would want to be seen, especially with the number of weapons being pointed at them. So hopefully there is nobody in that back seat, so it doesn't create any tension between the officers and whatever suspect may be in that vehicle. But I'm guessing it will be just the 2 in the front. But again, we just don't know until we know. No,
you're right about that, Stu. It's interesting, as you pointed out, this vehicle was on the 210 freeway earlier, but spent most of the time on surface street. Okay.
It was on surface streets earlier on. We heard it was on the 605. We heard it was on the 60, and then also on the 210 for just a short amount. But right now, it does appear the suspects we've seen are in custody.
All right, and we're going to assume that that's, well, what is she doing? Is that somebody running, Stu?
No, she's just being helped along right there, possibly because she has bare feet, or maybe she was being a little bit resisting just a little bit. But now the car is sitting there, and we'll wait and see. Officers are going to approach that very carefully. You can see they haven't even lightened up their stance. They're taking it very seriously.
Okay, well, we are going to leave it there, Stu, and move on and talk about some politics right now. Thanks for that. Our Stu Mundel live in Sky 2, and that's a code 4. Well, let's take a live look at the nation's capital right now. There is a vote set for Brett Kavanaugh tomorrow, and it looks like he does have the votes to be confirmed. The final votes were
Brad, I know it's not you because we're all up here, but why are we all up in the stratosphere? Jeez, oh, Pete. Why? Oh, Jesus. It's okay. Don't piss him off. I was just curious. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, why does it seem so far away?